There's a chance you've heard of SML. I'm a big fan of it. I discovered it on 2016, and I'd been obsessed with it for years. I discovered a file that was mailed to me through Gmail. It was called JEFFY.AVI. It was mailed by an anonymous user. I curiously clicked on it and then it played. Now I wish I never done that. Marvin and Rose were sitting on a couch and was watching TV. Rose was worried about Jeffy. Rose asked to Marvin about where Jeffy was. Marvin shrugged and told Rose that it's fine. Rose wasn't buying it. Rose claimed that she was gonna check it herself. Marvin was shocked and nervously asked Rose that maybe she can stay here. Marvin was nevertheless surprised by Rose doing. Rose ignored Marvin and checked for Jeffy. Rose checked everywhere and she found Jeffy staring at the wall. Rose was relieved and reluctantly walked towards Jeffy, and as she's doing that the screen started to glitch. Jeffy looked towards Rose. Jeffy smirked and he looked off. Jeffy had black eyes and red pupils. His eyes were bleeding and his mouth was covered to the brim with sharp fangs and his gums were sticking out. Rose backed away from Jeffy and set a loud scream. Jeffy smiled. Rose ran away and Jeffy chased her. Rose climbed downstairs and Jeffy opened his mouth. Jeffy catched up to Rose. Rose fell down and started to catch her breath. As she was doing that, Jeffy teleported near her and punched her. Jeffy punched her. Marvin took a sip of his Sprite and spit it out when he heard Rose's horrifying scream. Marvin checked it out and he saw Rose with her head on a spike and her body dismembered and dismantled. Marvin screamed and then thought who would have done this. He immediately turned his suspicions to Jeffy, and then he checked around to find Jeffy. Marvin saw a loud noise coming from a room. He ran to see if Jeffy was there and he saw a bunch of bodies on the floor and eyes on the balcony. He then saw Jeffy. His back was standing there and his eyes were closed and his arms were crossed. Marvin then carefully walked towards Jeffy and then touched his shoulder. Jeffy turned his head to Marvin and then his body turned around to where Jeffy's head was staring at. Jeffy smiled to Marvin maliciously. Marvin nervously backed away from Jeffy. Jeffy's mouth was dripping blood like a carnivore. Marvin ran away and Jeffy teleported near Marvin and grabbed Marvin. "This is my world. You can't escape me. Even if you tried, I am death." Jeffy then ripped Marvin's body apart. He smirked and looked towards the camera. He whispered to my head, "Hello there, Michael. How was it?" I gasped and waved my head around. Jeffy's arm reached through the screen. I screamed and Jeffy grabbed my legs and pulled me to his world. He laughed demonically, and I screamed the loudest I have ever heard.